Hi, I'm Cameron from FireflyPictures.org. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create an eye for a 3D texture. Let's go ahead and create a new image in GIMP. I'm using resolution 500 by 500. You can use whatever you want. Feel free to do things differently from how I'm doing them in this tutorial. Now, we're going to use layers. So if you need to add a layers tab, you can do that as so. Our first layer, we're going to double click on it and call it iris. This is going to be the iris of our eye. Now we'll use the ellipse select tool to select a circle. Now we're going to make it a very dark blue. I'm making a blue eye, but you can make any color eye you want, green, brown, whatever. And we'll just fill it with the fill tool. And we should use the feather select tool. And now, in real life, colors are very rarely solid white, solid blue, etc. So I'm making my eye kind of yellowish, the white of my eye. Now, we're going to use a Gaussian blur, filters, blur, Gaussian blur. We're going to use a blur radius of about 20. Yes. Okay. So, now the next thing we're going to do is create a new layer. And this one we're going to call gradient. And alright, we're going to switch our gradient type, foreground to transparent. It's going to be a radial gradient, and we're going to use a rather light blue color. Alright, we're going to start in the center and drag out to create our gradient. That's a little off center, so I'm going to try again. Edit undo or Control Z. That's a little better. Okay. Now we're going to create a new layer and we'll call it pupil. It's going to be our pupil. Now let's use the ellipse select tool to select the region that's going to be our pupil. Center it if you need to. And guess what color we're going to fill the pupil with? Yes. You are correct. Black. Okay. We're going to fill the pupil. There we go. And we're going to create a new layer. We're going to call this one Nova. And we're going to move that layer down. Oh, yeah, you have to use the little buttons. Move it down below the pupil layer. Now, we're going to use filters, light and shadow, supernova. Going to place our nova in the center of our image, and let's try a couple different colors for the nova. Let's try a light blue first. It looks alright, but I'm not quite satisfied. Alright, what we're going to do is go into the curves of our gradient layer, and we're going to turn them up so the gradient is brighter. Okay, turn up the value curve. Now on our nova layer, we're going to create a supernova. We're gonna, let's see, no, definitely not. Try again on that supernova. We're going to, it's good to experiment with colors. Gonna create a nice blue. Not quite. Try again, once more. Let's see. Darker blue, no. Very dark blue. Okay. I like that. Now we're going to go to our pupil layer and use a Gaussian blur on it to make it nice and smooth. Use a fairly small radius, not too small though. There we go. That looks good. Now we're going to create a new layer, and this one's going to be called brown. That layer will contain the little brown flecks on the inside of eyes. Some eyes have little brown flecks, and I really like that, so I'm going to use that detail. Okay, we're going to choose a nice brown color, and we're going to use the brush tool to just kind of smudge around. Just generally smudge. Don't worry if it doesn't look real good. We're going to fix it later. Okay, now we're going to use a darker brown color, and we're going to add some little lines of detail. Not too bad. add those little lines all the way around in various random spots. Okay, let's try our Gaussian blur. Turn up the blur radius. No, I don't like that at all. Let's undo all those little lines. We need to make our brush size smaller. Just scale it down a little bit. And we're going to turn down the opacity a little bit too. Okay, now let's try those lines again. There we go. See, they're a lot finer now. Just some nice details to add. Keep adding and adding until you're satisfied. Alright, now we're going to use our Gaussian blur again. Not bad. It's looking a lot better. Let's try a different setting on the blur radius. Just keep experimenting with the settings until you find something that looks good. Once it's aesthetically pleasing, it's good. Don't stop fiddling with things until you've reached that point. Now we're going to use the smudge tool. We're just going to smudge that brown layer. I think that makes it look incrementally better. Just smudge away, have lots of fun. This is kind of an interesting stage. You get to do a lot of back and forth smudging. Experiment with different brush sizes and brush types. Okay. Now notice that looks a lot more realistic than what we had before on our brown layer. Actually looks like the flecks of brown in some eyes. I'm not going for a horribly realistic eye. I'm going for sort of a Pixar-like look. Alright. Now we're going to create another layer. Alright. This one's going, it's going to be below the pupil. And this one's going to be a layer for the outside. We're going to make a little ring around the outside. Let's see. Alright. Use a fairly large brush size. We're using the brush tool now. Notice we use the ellipse select tool to select around the eye so we don't draw outside of it. Now we're just drawing with the brush tool around the edges. Let's use our Gaussian blur. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now let's see. Add a few little flecks, protrusions along the side of the eye. Makes it look very nice in my opinion. Okay. And we'll use another blur on it. I like Gaussian blur, in case you can't tell. Alright, now I'm going to use the fuzzy select tool. That orange has really gotten out of hand. I'd like to turn it a lot more white, so let's turn it down. Make the whites of our eyes actually look a little bit more white. Whoops, I filled with the wrong side. Okay, there we go. It's a little better. And there we go. Now we're just going to, let's see, we'll try the blur on that layer again. I blurred the pupil layer, or the iris layer, sorry. Alright, now we're going to mess with the color curves of all the layers. Let's take a look. The Nova layer, I'll turn it up, and the brown layer. Alright, let's try another Gaussian blur on that. Better. Okay, so brown layer looks pretty good. We're going to smudge and blur a little bit with the smudge and blur tools. I'm a little bit picky about how these things turn out. Okay, now let's see here. We're going to go to our iris layer and mess with the color curves. And maybe up, maybe down. Down. Okay. Keep messing with the color curves on the various layers until you're satisfied. You can also try hue and saturation, colorize, everything in the colors menu. Keep experimenting until it looks good to you. Okay. I'm going to turn the opacity of the brown. No, I won't do that. Okay, the brown layer, down, up, no, down. I think I'd better leave the brown layer, maybe. Yep. Slightly up. Okay. Hue and saturation on the brown layer. I'm just going to mess with the settings on there until it looks pleasing. The whole purpose is to get it to look aesthetically pleasing. So once it looks good to you, you're good. You might also consider looking at some reference pictures to see how you should draw these things. I was looking at some of my sister's eyes earlier. That was an invaluable reference in helping me to draw the eye correctly. We're now finished and we have an eye that can be used on 3D characters. Thank you for watching. This is Cameron from FireflyPictures.org, signing off.